Awake?
Awake?
Almost.
Yeah, I was up earlier today myself. Wow. So great to be here. Sunday, what are we in, day 3? Day 2, really, technically, right? Let's kick it off. Wow, it's paparazzi everywhere. Let's see, what can we talk about today? What would you guys like to know about today? Do we have any questions? Yeah.
You said yesterday that you really liked anthropology. Would you have liked to play Daniel in SG1? In the film or in the series?
That would have been a great exercise. I made another time, you know. You know what? Actually, the fun has been, as a student of anthropology, to actually do it for real. You know, that's what's been exciting about it. You know, as an actor, we get to play so many fantastic roles to begin with, and be all these different people, and go around the world, and tell all these different stories. That kind of the role or the character of the history recorder is not as interesting as the people that the history is written about. Do you know what I mean? But in real life, it is, on a personal level. And so that's why I've been able to really connect with anthropology as a subject, as a student of it, you know? Like I said, it all blends into my work as an actor, and it keeps me learning. I educate myself better that way. So I always like to keep returning to it.
Question?
Yeah.
Which civilizations, thank you, which civilizations have, in your studies, have you particularly found interesting?
Oh, that runs the gamut, really, because...
Oh, yes. Pick one and say why, perhaps.
Let's see. I found myself recently returning back to the Greeks. You know, I guess it's, you know, I started off with that to begin with, as most of us have with mythologies, and, you know, that leads into the fantasy, which leads into the gamings, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But I recently found myself going back to the Greeks and the Spartans, and just picking up more details as an adult, and separating it from the fantasy fiction that I was introduced to it with. Because now as a philosophy student in school, we're looking at it in a different context, and for different values. And I've been studying political science as well, so of course so much of political science is a basis with the Greeks that you know, we've begun examining it from that angle. So that's become more fascinating, again, in terms of going back to the basics of anything, of any given subject that you kind of know well. You go back to the basics after you've matured in it, and you find something new. You refine and you polish your understanding of it.
So what do you suppose was the reality behind the stories of the gods of Olympus? This relates so much to Stargate, doesn't it?
Oh, the reality behind... Oh, I'm very, very empirical about it, you know, in my real life. You know, every culture has creation myths, things that they need to explain their phenomenon, and the human mind and imagination is so expansive. It's no wonder that they came up with... you know, they say God made man in his image, you know, I very much think it might be the other way around. You know, it's you know, our force of will, I believe, is the most powerful force in nature, and it can create anything and make it real. And for that period, with so much concentration of energy on this this mythology with those gods, that pantheon, it was no wonder that it was real to them, and they certainly didn't have the kind of science that we have to, you know, to argue against those religious beliefs. So when you tie that into religion and spirituality as well, it becomes even deeper set in the human will. You know, it's that thing that you know, you're out on some, you know, barely paved road and you're being attacked by a bear, and you know your toga is you know all over the place, and you know you pray to whatever gods you have, you know, and you find that strength. But ultimately, it's just there've been so many similarities that I can only just tie it to the human will. Not to say that, you know, there is a reality behind, you know, there are or were real Zeus and, you know, whoever. You know, every people express their environment differently, culturally and historically. Does that make sense? They give me the script at the last minute, right? Because they know I'll be like, wait a minute. So they give it to me at the last minute, and I read it, and suddenly, oh my God, I'm a bad guy now? And it completely turned all of my concepts of Skara upside down. I mean, just blew me away, because it was not at all the direction that I wanted Skara to go in. Not at all. And that was what was, in the end, interesting. That's what suddenly made it, and I didn't realize this for maybe 2 episodes later. You know, I was still fighting. I was kicking and screaming the whole time. I was just not getting into Chlorel at all. And I think by the 3rd episode was where I got really comfortable, and I kind of, in that time between, just decided to throw myself into it. You know, so it made sense after a while. It grew on me. I started looking at it from different ways, and then realized that, oh well, because it was such a surprise, because I didn't expect it, maybe this could be a good thing. Go with it, you know. And I did. And as I made that decision, and as I got into it, and I made all my notes, and I did all that, bam! They switch it up on me again. You know, and so. You know, and I had to kind of let that go again. So it's been this roller coaster ride that has ended up being very, very real for the character, because Skara has, I mean, you know, he could have never predicted what would have happened to him. You know, what right do I? You know? No, you know, Richard Dean is the difference with him and Kurt, I think Kurt really got into that particular aspect of the story. And it was very internalized for Kurt. And, you know, sometimes we'd sit and we'd have coffee and we'd have breakfast and stuff. You know, we'd chit-chat here and there. And I could tell the way he was studying me, and the way he was looking at me, and the way we'd interact, and then we'd be on set doing the scenes. He had that idea, that concept on the forefront of his mind, you know, and he was really in character in that regard. Richard Dean is a lot more laid back about it, you know. He has really advanced the character, you know, to the point where we are comfortable, and we treat each other very comfortably, you know. The time, you know, these two know each other. This is the mentor and protege, father and son, and it's established and it's set, you know. But it's also more than that, because after these past, you know, I guess there's a presumption of a couple of years in there, right, that are lost, that we don't know what's kind of happened, and we just assume that Skara is off rebuilding his community and doing all that. And Richard Dean really picks it up after that period, as if, you know, as when a father has let his son go and has realized, though he may not have seen it, that his son has become a man and has accomplished things already, you know. There's that familiarity, but it doesn't have to be so parental anymore. They're much more like equals. Do you know what I mean? And so Richard allows O'Neill to give Skara that respect, you know, as a fellow warrior. Though he knows that, you know, he's got the rank. I mean, he knows better, clearly, but you know, you can't take the credit away from the kid because he freed his people and he's rebuilding all this stuff. I mean, that's a big deal too, you know? So, and I think that's where the relationship stands, and that's a good thing. I think it was good that that was developed and matured to that level.